The honourable member from Kamloops Thompson Caribou.
Mr. Speaker, after 9 years, the NDP Liberals aren't worth the cost, crime or corruption. You, Mr. Speaker, ruled that this NDP Liberal government must hand over documents relating to what the Auditor General found was a $400 million fraud with 186 conflicts of interest. This is at a time when Canadians are having trouble heating, eating and housing themselves. When will this Liberal government end the cover-up and provide those documents to the RCMP as they should?
And then government can get back to work?
General.
I'm going to appeal to that member as a former Crown prosecutor. He knows something about the independence of our institutions. When the police take action, they do so without political direction or manipulation. The police make decisions. They then go to a court and ask for a search warrant. It is judicially authorized because it has charter protections. That's something that member used to be familiar with. I just wish he would educate some of his colleagues about the importance of these safeguards and why they exist in democracies.
The honourable member from Kamloops Thompson Caribou.
Mr. Speaker, listening to the Attorney General, you would almost think that the Liberals believe they have a charter right to line the pockets of Liberal insiders. This is at a time when Canadians are lining up at food banks, when people cannot afford their mortgages, they cannot find a house, and yet Liberals line pockets of Liberal insiders. This is so on brand for Liberals. It's like they're entitled to their entitlements. Mr. Speaker, when will this Liberal government end the entitlement for Liberal insiders, hand over the documents unredacted so that Canadians and police can know the truth?
The honourable minister.
We all want to see it.
And Attorney General.
Mr. Speaker, there's a qualitative difference between providing documents for the purposes of Parliament and providing documents for the purposes of prosecution. The second you cross that line, you need to impose the protections that the Charter provides. That's what that document represents. Most Canadians get behind that document, save for my Conservative colleagues. The reason why the safeguards are important is because they protect things like privacy, your freedom from unreasonable search and seizure. Again, fundamental precepts that member knows full well because he used to practice in this area. I just wish he could educate his colleagues about why we need to safeguard important charter rights.
Colleagues. The honourable member from Carlton Trail, Eagle Creek.
Where'd Pierre go?
After 9 years of NDP Liberals, taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, time is up. The Green Slush Fund is more proof that the NDP Liberals are not worth the cost, crime or corruption. They have violated a House order to cover up for their friends. This $400 million Liberal scandal has paralysed Parliament, making it impossible to address the Prime Minister's agenda of crime and chaos. Will the NDP Liberals end the cover-up, give proof to the police, so Parliament can get working for Canadians?
Yeah, the Liberals just have to comply.
For innovation.
That's all.
Mr. Speaker, talking about working for Canadians. Now Canadians at home, we're seeing conservative blocking conservative motion, Mr. Speaker. Can you imagine that? We live in a parallel world in this place. The Conservatives are blocking their own motion, Mr. Speaker. What we did and we promised the Canadians was to get to the bottom of this, Mr. Speaker. There'll be 4 independent reports, Mr. Speaker, including the Auditor General, including the Commissioner of the RCMP. We said he has all the documents, Mr. Speaker. Not only the board resigned, the CEO resigned, the integrity of the foundation has been transferred. Mr. Speaker, we uphold the highest standard in this House.
Colleagues. The honourable member from Victoria.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians expect their government to do more when it comes to the climate crisis, but the Liberals are so far deep in the pockets of Canada's worst polluters that they plan to label fossil fuels as sustainable. They are caving to the interests of big banks and big oil instead of protecting Canadians. Oil and gas profits are going up. Their emissions are going up, and they want to greenwash fossil fuels. Why are the Liberals helping them?
The Honourable Minister for the Environment and Climate Change.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will quote a colleague from Rosemont La Petite Patrie. I quote, "This is why, as a New Democrat, as a progressive, as an environmentalist, we are in favor of putting a price on pollution. We support taxing carbon, which already happens in the majority of Canadian provinces. On this side of the House, Mr. Speaker, we're not caving to pressure and disinformation campaign by the Conservative Party of Canada. It's unfortunate that the NDP doesn't seem to be progressive anymore or environmentalist anymore.
The honourable member from Winnipeg Centre.
Mr. Speaker, nothing but excuses from these Liberals, including abortion. They are failing to stand up to Conservative premiers because they will not enforce the Canada Health.
The radical NDP.
Including Alberta's premier, who is leasing hospitals to Covenant House, which provides emergency contraceptives and abortion services. The Women's Health Coalition says this jeopardizes reproductive rights. Will the minister stand up to Conservative premiers, enforce the Canada Health Act, and uphold abortion care as health care?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Minister of Health.
Abortion care is health care. Making sure that a woman has access to an abortion service is essential medicine, and we believe this on this side of the House. We fight for it every day. But let me go a step further. It's also essential that every woman in this country gets access to the contraceptives they need to have control over their body. And if you're against abortion and you're against contraception and you're against sexual education, then I'm sorry, you're against women's freedom altogether. And on this side of the House, we're going to make sure every woman gets the sexual and reproductive tools and support that she needs to have true freedom, Mr. Speaker.
Always divisive. I gotta say, man, I can't wait for a Conservative government.
Mr. Speaker, buying a home is one of the biggest decisions that a Canadian can make in their lifetime. Unfortunately, high mortgage costs can be barriers to many, particularly the younger generation seeking to purchase their first home. Our government has...
High mortgage costs are a barrier, so we've increased mortgages to 30 years.
...to a reality. Can the Minister of Finance explain to this House how the adjustments to the mortgage amortization period will enhance and improve access to homes for thousands of Canadians?
That's contradicting.
Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague from Kitchener South Hespeler for the question and for giving me the chance to talk about the important measures that we have recently announced to help young Canadians achieve their dream of home.
You will own nothing
We've announced
and be happy.
First-time home
right in front of our eyes.
Amortizations of 30 years and 30-year amortizations for all Canadians.
All professional analysts, financial analysts, say that this is a horrible idea.
Canadians
It perpetuates more debt.
get more homes built faster. That's good news for Canadians, Mr. Speaker.
It's so greasy.
The honourable member from St. Albert, Edmonton.
Mr. Speaker, the Conflict of Interest Act is clear. A minister shall not be involved in the operations of a business while in cabinet. Text messages indicate that someone named Randy at the Minister of Edmonton's Shady Company was involved in its business operations, including an alleged $500,000 fraud. No one from the company named Randy can be identified except the minister, and everyone knows why. Will the minister finally fess up and just admit he broke the law?
There you go. There you go. Let's put some W's. Let's put some W's in the chat. I don't think we've done that today.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We agree that as witnesses go to
She knows the other Randy.
share information that is asked for them by the committee. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very short answers today by Karina.
Albert, Edmonton.
Well, the minister seems to be in hiding. The fact is that it is no coincidence that after months of inquiry, there is no other Randy that can be...
I love how Michael Cooper uses his hands. It's like he just learned how to use them.
Only Randy ever connected to the Shady Company
to talk. It's pretty funny.
Minister. So again, will the minister stand in his place, fess up, admit he broke the law, and better yet, resign?
Hear, hear. Hear, hear.
Wow, I love it when the Conservatives put pressure on the Liberals to resign during question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I have said, if a witness is called before committee, they are expected to provide the information asked of them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
We don't have the other Randy. You guys have hidden them.
Sturgeon River, Parkland.
Mr. Speaker, Who's Randy? It's a question that has gripped the nation, and we have yet to receive a truthful answer. Text messages reveal that the Minister of Employment's fraud-ridden business partner was working with Randy to shake down a medical supply company. The texts show that Randy was in Vancouver the same day as the Minister of Employment was there attending a cabinet retreat. The minister denied speaking with his partner. He claimed he didn't even have his phone, but now he admits that he did text and call his partner. So will the minister stand up and admit that he's been Randy all along?
Oh! Put some W's down for our boy Lloyd.
Colleagues,
Randy's awfully quiet.
The government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As we have stated all along, that if a witness is called to committee and asked to provide information, they need to provide that information to committee. Thank you.
That's right.
The honourable member from Sturgeon River.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Employment denied being Randy. He claimed he had no business dealing with his fraud-ridden business partner. He said he never even spoke to him in Vancouver while he was at the cabinet retreat. He said it was impossible. But after handing over his phone to the ethics commissioner, he finally admitted that he did text and call his business partner while at the cabinet retreat in Vancouver. The minister concealed the truth from Parliament for months, and only after getting caught did he admit his actions. Now the Speaker has even found his business partner in contempt of Parliament. The minister has had all summer to reveal the real Randy. Will he stand up and reveal himself today?
Woo-wee.
The honourable leader of the government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I have said and reiterate, that as a witness is called to committee and if they are asked to provide information to that committee, we expect they provide that information. Thank you,
That's
Mr.
right.
Speaker.
Very
That's right, says Freeland. That's right.
The Honourable Member for Mirabel. Mr. Speaker, whistleblowers who have courage to report wrongdoing in the federal government have to wait 3 years, not for an investigation to be concluded, but for one to even be started. Imagine just how reluctant this makes people to blow the whistle. And imagine how this affects the public's confidence at a time when the federal government is knee-deep in scandals like ArriveCan and SDTC. The Public Sector Integrity Commissioner is asking for the resources that she needs to process whistleblowing in a timely manner. Will the government immediately give the commissioner these resources?
The Honourable President
The Honourable President of the Treasury Board. Mr. Speaker, my office is working with the Commissioner's office to address funding concerns and resource concerns. Protecting whistleblowers is absolutely a priority, a top priority for our government. We have brought about many improvements to the process. So, Mr. Speaker, whistleblowers play a critical role in our democracy, and we are here to support them. The Honourable Member for Mirabel. Mr. Speaker, consider this. While the federal government is embroiled in various scandals, there are 161 whistleblower complaints that have yet to be processed. 161 complaints related either to wrongdoing or to reprisals against whistleblowers. The government must increase the commissioner's budget as per her request. But the government must also ensure that all whistleblowers are protected, which is a reminder that Bill C-290, which passed unanimously in this House, has not yet made it through the Senate. Will the government ensure that the commissioner has not only the budget that she needs, but also the necessary legal framework to do her job? The Honourable President of the Treasury Board. Mr. Speaker, first of all, as I said, my office is working with the Integrity Commissioner's office. We are working together to address these issues. We supported the bill that my colleague just mentioned. I hope that all senators will also support the bill. There is an external working group as well, which is studying revisions to the Whistleblower Protection Act, and we support whistleblowers.
From Hastings, Lennox, and Addington.
Here we go.
After 9 years of NDP Liberals, taxes are up, crime is up, cost is up, time is up, Mr. Speaker. The NDP Liberal carbon tax is driving up the cost of food, adding to an already terrible food insecurity crisis. It has gotten so bad, doctors are being told to be on the lookout for scurvy, That's right, scurvy. Not only are many Canadians grasping at their grocery bills in advance of Thanksgiving dinner, our medical professionals are concerned about the return of a centuries-old disease. Mr. Speaker, how is this Prime Minister so stubbornly convinced on his carbon tax, yet so afraid to call an election?
Minister of Health.
Well, I'll tell you, Mr. Speaker, what won't help somebody facing food insecurity in this country that's caused by a global crisis and rising food costs, it's cutting the rebate check. That's what the Conservatives would do. I talked to an individual, Bob, today. He's a senior who, with the Canadian Dental Care Plan, just saved $3,000 on essential care that he needed, talking to me about what that meant for his family and their ability to afford food. That would be cancelled by the Conservatives. All the Conservatives have are slogans, and we saw what that did. Fake lakes, gazebos, rubber checks, because they're going to go from slogans to try to win an election to slogans to explain why they're not doing anything for anybody. We're not going to allow that to happen.
The honourable member from Hastings, Lennox and Addington.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. While sunny days are over, everyone should be concerned when leading medical publications are raising the alarm bells about scurvy in Canada in 2024. This disease was an issue 400 years ago. The cost of the carbon tax on food pricing is real. Limited access to adequate food caused by this increase is real. And lastly, the negative effects on the health of Canadians is real. Mr. Speaker, will the government axe the tax to lower the cost of food so that Canadians can once and again enjoy an affordable family Thanksgiving dinner?
The Honourable Minister of Health.
I mean, yeah, that is right around the corner.
After decades of being gone, tuberculosis, measles, misinformation that is being spread around things like vaccines and about public health is doing insane damage to people. And I'll tell you, if you care about food insecurity in this world, then you should be supporting a school food program. If you care about
people can't even afford vitamin C.
Helping families lift
oranges are $2 a piece
with nothing behind them. Mr. Speaker, we face difficult times
because of these
in
people.
This world right now. This requires serious and real conversations. That's what we're centered on. That's what we think about. That's the solutions that we.
Vitamin deficiency because of the Liberals. They're slowly killing us.
Speaker, after 9 years of NDP Liberals, taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, and time is up. And you know what else is up? The number of kids needing to use a food bank. The London Food Bank is already helping over 16,000 people every month. And more post-secondary students are going hungry. Thanksgiving is this weekend and many families will be going without. Why? Because the cost of the carbon tax is making food too expensive. So if this Prime Minister is so convinced on his carbon tax, why won't he call a carbon tax election?
The Honourable Minister for Families, Social Development.
Mr. Speaker, we all suffer when some of our fellow Canadians are suffering. And we've made some historic investments, Mr. Speaker, including in 2016 when we brought in the Canada Child Benefit, which is providing support to over 4.3 million families each and every month, Mr. Speaker, an allowance that goes in their bank account every month to help with those basics, Mr. Speaker. This is how we are fighting for and supporting Canadian families, Mr. Speaker.
Bravo. The honourable member from Lambton, Kent, Middlesex.
Mr. Speaker, of course the Laurentian elites wouldn't understand. They don't know what it's like to be a parent living paycheck to paycheck, trying to feed their families. Constant NDP Liberal tax hikes and inflationary spending means that 1 million Ontarians had to use a food bank last year because they couldn't afford to buy food. In Middlesex, London, that means that 23,000 kids are going hungry. What parents really want is to give their kids a good Thanksgiving. So will the Prime Minister give Canadians what they want and call a carbon tax election?
There you go.
The Honourable Minister for Families, Children and Social Development.
Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we're focused on fighting for Canadian families. What does that mean, Mr. Speaker? That means making $1 billion commitment to families and children across this country to bring forward a school food program, Mr. Speaker, that will feed over 400,000 children each and every year. We've already seen progress with Newfoundland and Labrador on board and putting this forward in their schools. I look forward to more provinces and territories signing on so we can ensure kids have food at school.